today we're going to take a look at Strategy and Tactics, issue 356, January to February 2026. Yes, welcome to the new year. This contains a game, or this issue is the game edition, and contains Siege of Vienna 1683. And I want to thank Doc at Strategy and Tactics, or Decision Games, for getting this to me. I really appreciate taking a look at these. I am a big war game magazine aficionado and appreciate the opportunity. This is not quite an unbagging or unboxing, because this is the mailer, and guess what? I already ripped it open just to see what was inside. However, I will say, though, that it was not bent. So, the old do not bend. I'll put a link to my previous video on that. The post office is starting to cooperate with me. So what do you get in a Strategy and Tactics magazine? Well, you get that. You get a magazine. It's a war game magazine. It's going to have issues and topics and advertisements about war games, mostly decision games, because this is it's house organ. But it also is going to have a lot of history articles, including an article usually on the game that's included if you get the game edition. And we're going to have some topics about the Siege of Vienna, which I find as a very interesting topic. I've got a book. I've got a book like the 100 Greatest Battles, or 100 Most Decisive Battles. And I also have a book, 100 Most Decisive Sieges. I think I've done coverage on both of them. Don't know if they're both posted yet. If they are, I'll put links to them in the description down below. But Vienna, this Siege of Vienna is among the 100 most decisive sieges. It came right up to the gates of Vienna, as I think that's what the name of the game is in this, is the gates of Vienna, or maybe that's what the article is. But we'll take a look at that. But it was came really close, and a lot of combat or action right outside of Vienna, just north of Vienna. So, but we'll take a look at that when we get into the maps. So, interested in this game. So you get the magazine. We'll take a quick page through. It will have the rules inside there. You're going to have a map with all the charts, and then you're going to have the counters. Again, we'll take a look at that shortly. But let's do it. I always like to do a little page through so you can see what is in this issue. And since it is January, February, it should be shipping now. So if you're a subscriber, you should be getting this in your mail as well. If you're not a subscriber, take a look at it, because there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. So this, as I said, there's some advertisements from some games here. RAF, that's classic. I have the old West End version of that game. Here's Sea Lion, the proposed invasion of England. Some more Strategy and Tactics games in here. Then they have some quarterlies that they produce that are kind of special. They don't have games in them. They're just focused on history. Here's your typical departments. And then talking about what's the next issue, 357. What's coming up with that? And then we're right into the article that goes along with the game. And I always like to go over these articles before I play the game, and sometimes even after, just to get a feel for what happened and give me the context and feel, kind of get me in the mood, so to speak, for playing the game, but also see how things turned out maybe differently after I played it. Another thing I like about the Strategy and Tactics magazines are the graphics and the maps and the charts, and so there's always good graphics in here. And so this is basically the Ottoman Empire expanding and trying to expand their control and domain into Europe, and again getting to the gates of Vienna. And then you get a little inset piece on the Ottoman army, and here is a close-up of what that empire looked like, and some of the key, what do we got here? Let's look at the chart here. The forces, showing where some of the forces were and some of the movements that took place around this time period. Here's Vienna. And the siege took place 14th July to 12 September of 1683. Now, the focus of this game is really I think the lead-up actions. The actions are just outside of Vienna that led to it, if I'm not mistaken. When I look, I took a peek at the map, and that's what it looked like. So here's the battle. So this is really kind of what the battle is. the Battle of Kallenberg, which leads to the siege. Kallenberg Heights are this mountains or hills north of Vienna along the Danube. And then this is where the troop movements are, and then you see Vienna right here. The game is going to featuring on this area right in here, is my understanding. Here are the rules, and the thing I like about decision games rules that come in the magazine is that there's a piece of glue right there. Oh, geez. Well, normally it comes off really easy, but I got a little bit too much glue on this one, maybe. Sticky glue, because it is starting to rip the magazine a little bit there. Rip the rules. Normally these come out without no muss, no fuss, but this time we've got a little bit of resistance to the rules here. I might end up doing these a little bit later because I don't want to rip the rules too bad. But you get to see live TV here. So it looks like that was part of the staple there, maybe. So we got a little bit of a casualty in the rules. Not too bad. Doesn't look like there's anything. Didn't look like it lost any text in there. But we got a little bit of a casualty. Put that off to the side here. There are the rules there. And here are our glue that goes in the middle there. So as I said, I do like that. Normally it's much easier than pulling out the staples, but still sometimes you have some casualties like we had right there. I'll put these off to the side and we'll take a look at those when we look at the game itself. Let's finish our page through. Here's the continuation of the article. As I said, it's a really in-depth article that covers a lot on this period. I really do like this. And then there's on design notes. This is a Joseph Miranda game who does quite a few magazine game designs. Here's on design, and here is an ad for the game itself. Then we have another article here, Battle of the Aegites Islands, part of the Punic Wars. So again, I really like these battle maps and charts. You're getting into some strategy too of the different types of ships. Very cool. Vessels, selling vessels. All right, then more ads. And then we're into the liberation of Prague, 5 to 11 May 1945. Very cool. And then you get some orders. Army group situation there. And then here, oh wow, look at that map. That's very cool looking. Very interesting. This liberation is Czechoslovakia. So, as I said, I really do, I go through these articles and read them, and when there's a game, an article tied to a game, I tend to go over that a little bit closer before I play the game. Here's Cambodian Excursion. So this is Vietnam War. More ads, and then we got some of the regular pieces here. Did you know? Which are just, little essays. And then we got Poland's Black Knight. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, given my proclivity to mispronounce everything. And the start of the Comanche Wars, Battle of the Twin Villages. Okay, man, there's a lot of stuff in this article. Battle of Neri. Okay, so I've got a lot of reading to do in the Battle of Mosul. 2016 to 17. All right, a book review on the Chosin Reservoir action. And then we've got a World at War. They do have another magazine, so there is World at War, and they have war games as well in their issues. I mean, you can get the regular magazine issue, which is on like your regular rack, if you can find them anymore at bookstores, and then you can get the game edition as well. So with enough of that, let's get into the game itself. Here are the rules. I think they're usually about 16 pages, so there's 16 pages of rules there. Got some charts on the back here, but the rules are usually dual column, color. Here's an explanation of some of the units we have here. So basically you're having a combat factor and a movement factor. Then you might have a designation on whether it's a light unit with a white circle or a red unit indicates it is charge capable. So you have mounted units with red. Red on the combat factor, white is on the movement factor, shows that it's a light unit. And here are the rules. Plus we have some important notes in red throughout the rules here. And this one, I imagine, might qualify. Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's like supply and stuff in here, but this looks tactical, but could be somewhat operational. Not quite certain. Maybe it's grand tactical. I'll have to take again, I haven't dove into this as much. So you get, the rules really are only about 12 pages. And then, 12 and a half, then you got optional rules on this page, and then we get some, but the rest is optional rules. So very cool. Okay, so that is the rules. Let's get the map out here. So we can, let's look at the counters next. Here are the counters. They are double-sided. You can see here. And you got some leaders marked with some of their units that they're commanding. They have these bands, so I don't know if there's that's part of the command and control. Normally when you see these different colored bands, that means that there's activations and control and commands that will go with leaders to the units that have the same color. But again, I'm just got this, and so not entirely sure how this system works. Played a lot of Mr. Miranda's games, but he does so many and such variety that I don't know if there's not really a set system. There's not a method to his madness, let's put it that way, because there's a lot of different he covers a lot of different type of topics. So this one's got a lot of charts, if you can see here, which in War Game magazine or magazine games, maybe it's called that, that is typical because you don't have a lot of player aids. They usually don't put any player aids in the war game in the magazine because you're limited on map encounters and the rest is the magazine. But this one has quite a bit, a lot of holding boxes, a lot of different charts here. Looks like we've got this is your terrain effects and combat effects up here. We've got rally table, artillery bombardment, combat results, and I imagine we have the same on the other side. Plus you have a little bit of a pictogram of the different terrains over here. And then you've got your map itself with, if we're looking at it from this side, the Danube is up here on the north. And then this is the Kallenberg Heights right up in here, this terrain. And Vienna is off the map. Vienna is this way. And so that's why I was thinking this is more of a lead up to and the preliminary actions at the gates as opposed to the siege itself, because Vienna is this way. So there you have it. That is the game map that comes with the magazine game edition. I'll put this, we'll put it here so I want to see some of the map. So there you have it. That is what you get in the issue 356 of Strategy and Tactics. This is not a military situation or a conflict that is covered much, if at all. There might actually be some older... There might be some older Strategy and Tactics magazine game editions of this So it'd be interesting to, I think I actually have one of those that is in queue to be put out. So I'll have to compare the two at some point. Maybe I'll pull it out and we'll take a look at it. So anyway, there you have it. Strategy and Tactics 356, Siege of Vienna. I'm interested in this because this is a topic that is interesting and doesn't get a lot of coverage. And I'll end up storing this in one of my little handy dandy plastic envelopes or envelopes. Your choice. And that's how I store my magazine edition of games, or my game magazine editions. I got to come up with a better term for that. Anyway, thanks all for stopping by. Take care. Thanks for watching.